Hey everyone, how's it going? Doing a quick trade recap. I actually have to go soon, and I just got out of my last trade. Green day today, $430, but was in a pretty nasty drawdown because of a pretty bad mistake. So I wouldn't rate today a success at all, but given I've, you know, back tested and looked at all of the possible scenarios over the last couple months, I'm glad I handled this the way I did. Um, anyways, I was talking about ARAI, but we'll go ahead and go through. I'll go through CA Carm and KLTO first. So I took this trade at open, which was, I think it was just slightly pre-market actually. Do I have do I don't I might not have trades on this chart, so maybe I have to do it here. Let's see here. Okay. So Carm, pre-market, I was seeing momentum slowing. So I was looking at risking the top of this supply zone. Let me go ahead and just make this a little bit bigger. Um, so I was risking the top of this supply zone. I went short here, which I think was a little early, but given we were trading low, I thought that this was gonna flush really quickly. But we kept chopping for a bit, and I didn't add and I didn't get out because, again, I'm looking at risking 8-6 here, and this ends up dumping a little bit. So I cover here, I dump on the open because it doesn't bust out with a lot of momentum. End up covering the rest of my position here on this indecision candle. And then I was looking for re-entry. So I entered near the top of that range. This isn't a good entry because of how bullish the candle was. Also was halted up, but wasn't too worried about it. I'm just gonna cancel this order. But wasn't too worried about it given the action we saw here. Um, I saw indecision again at a high of 108. I entered short at $1 because there was a lot of resistance there, and as this sort of started coming down, I covered close to where support break, and I started seeing supply forming. uh, I had half of my position on here still, and I was looking to add again close to the high here, but we didn't get there. And then eventually this cracked, and then I covered the rest of my position here. This ended up chopping for a bit. It didn't really get back up to where I would have been interested in a short again, so I didn't trade it anymore. The reason why I wasn't too worried in this breakout is because it was already up so much, and I knew that $1 was going to be a resistance level, and then it was slowing. Momentum was slowing in terms of price action. Like it wasn't going up like 20-30% in a minute. It was very slowly getting up there and getting shorted pretty hard. So I wasn't too worried. Um, Moving on to KLTO. This one, I started my short at 298 because I saw heavy orders at 3. It ended up breaking out above it, but there was again heavy orders of selling above. So I added to my short at 316, and then there was a big red candle. So I covered as much as I could here, and then after this candle, I think I was all out. And then I was looking at that 3-2 above 3 again for another short. It breaks out again. I took a short or sorry. So I had some of my position with an average cost of 3-2. And on this candle, I accidentally covered 25%. And then I added 1K. So I guess I added 75% to my position. Again, it wasn't breaking out higher after this and sold off. So shorting these works for me, but I need to be careful and try and cover where the breakout occurs. The problem I get into is when it breaks out far from the resistance zone, and then there isn't an opportunity for me to cover. I took one more trade on KLTO, looks like at 332, and then covered quickly. Or actually, this was at 387, and then I covered quickly here. I don't know why this like DAS is so bad. Yeah, so this one was wicking high on breakouts, but getting shorted. So you see this wick here, this wick here, this wick here. So when it was wicking higher than the breakout zone and showing any resistance, I try to get in. So I did pretty good entries. Like you see, enter here, covering here, enter here, covering here, enter here, covering here. I should have held on to this one a bit longer, given it ends up hitting mid VWAP and then selling off more. But I didn't, and that's okay. The reason why I got out of this was because I was managing CARM and I was like trying to stay on top of other opportunities. And so I was like, you know what, this one was a solid win, so I'll just get out of it. ARAI is when I start having issues. So I see this start getting above VWAP. After this shorting action and this shorting action, I thought the next time it breaks above VWAP, it would get close to or the upper band. It would get close to the middle band. So I take a short position near high here. It goes up pretty high. It squeezes up, and I add a little bit, and then we chop and start hugging above VWAP, and I get caught in a drawdown. But I added pretty light into these areas. So at this point, that I had my ATR set at another entry at around 11.8, I think, or 11. I added at 11.8, and then after this one, I was looking at, I think, 14. It was like 1.2. That would have been 13. But I upped it because I didn't. I This has room to grow. So the reason why I shouldn't have traded this is there was bullish news on it, and the yearly was breaking out. So I made a big mistake in jumping into this without reviewing those two things first. And the reason why that happens to me a lot of the time is like I sometimes moves happen so fast that I don't even register that I didn't check those two things first before jumping in. But I need to be more patient and not do that. There's no point. Um, so at this point, I think I had an average cost of 11, and it ends up selling off. So I was like, okay, this looks good. Gets to 11.76, and then just holds this hard, and everything below it gets bought up. So with my average cost below support, I was getting a little worried. And I think in retrospect, I would have liked to add, or sorry, get out of my some of my position here, and look to add close to the high here after this dump. So this ends up chopping for a bit and then breaks out again. I took an ad here on indecision thinking this was going to go lower. It ends up breaking out. I wasn't worried about this. This was a light ad, only 30 shares, not my typical size and amount. It breaks out again, sells off again. So now I'm thinking the same thing I was thinking earlier. If this breaks above VWAP again, I will try and look for a short. I had my ATR after my $14 entry at 15.2. So I set a sent out a sell order at 15.2, and it chops around there for a bit, and then eventually it ends up cracking. So um, my average at this point was 11.8, and I went and took a shower. I had another sell order at 16.2. I wasn't super exposed to this throughout the whole position, so I was excited, or sorry, not excited. I was definitely stressing my ass off, but I was not too nervous about how this would play out because it wasn't showing that disgusting price action. Like there were periods of sell off with volume, so I wasn't super concerned about holding this to end the day. So I was like thinking about this in the shower of how I could have played it better. And I think covering here, I need to just do or take off some of my position and then look to add near the higher support levels because this hugs above VWAP, and then we have this red candle close below the previous candle, which typically means reversal. Of course, this is the 1 minute, so not as strong, but this with the volume we had is a pretty good sign of resistance. So we had that and it closed below, and these entries I think are good where we if we're hugging above VWAP, taking the close below VWAP and risking high of day is I think a good entry. And then the same thing here, right? We closed below VWAP, but this went too deep, I think, where the entry might not have been worth it. It's probably like 1 to 1. But then this one, for example, this one had a pretty solid opportunity. So these ones that screw me over are ones where we hug above VWAP and keep going higher, 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 and support is forming above VWAP. And when I say that, I'm saying like the upper band. This is like what kills my strategy. So if I'm patient and look at how it's acting beforehand and play off of that, it might be better. I think this entry was good, even though it kept grinding higher. But if I'm looking for like, okay, when is the reversal happening? Maybe I look at this as my second entry and then add into, these situations where we're coming back up. But I don't know. I don't think like at this point it wouldn't have reached where I wanted to add. I would have liked to add at 14. Um, it breaks out, closes below. Like the times it broke up above, it was getting shorted, except for this situation where my drawdown happened. So yeah, maybe I was just wrong this time, and then should have covered here. This could have very much kept grinding up. And I think in those situations, I need a hammer when there's a close under the upper band, because that means that, specific channel trend is over. Um, yeah, $434 on the day, pretty good. I think after commissions, it's probably like 370 or something. I took a lot of trades today. So yeah, I think I need to maybe think about like maybe isolate one ticker and just take that one. Um, I might try that, see how it goes. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope y'all enjoy and hope everyone had a good trading day. If you like these videos, subscribe, leave a comment. I'll respond to any comments, any questions anyone has. Peace.